This is like almost replacing the funky music for me and things that just get me going. It's its own like type of funk. It's like the everyday funk. What is up, everybody? Welcome into the DNVR Nuggets podcast.
Let's go!
There it is. Good to have Vogt back, man. Bringing the energy early and often. We're presented as always by DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app. Use promo code DNVR whenever you sign up and join us in our gambling fun. Guys, feeling it today. We've been waiting. How many shows have we talked about the NBA MVP? Is it 100?
Yeah, how many shows have we done?
Yeah, I'd say like at least 75% of our shows have mentioned the MVP in some capacity.
Well, guess what we're talking about today? The MVP.
Let's go!
Yes.
We're going to talk about the presentation of the MVP award, which I thought was fantastic. I thought it was great. It brought so many warm fuzzies to my heart, and we're going to relive all of those and kind of contextualize all of them. To help me do that, I've got the man with the wind behind his hat sitting there in the studio's chair, or the producer's chair of Studio B. It's Harrison Wynn.
Yeah, I'm ready to go, guys. I got my Starbucks. Me and D-Line just went to Jimmy John's. Got a nice sandwich in me. Had a great afternoon. Ready to go today. Ready to go.
I love it, man. I love it. Jimmy John's. That's like the go-to for DNVR.
How many times have you gone this week, D-Line?
At this point, you should call me Jimmy.
So dumb. Down here, I've got Brenden Vogt, fresh off of the DNVR Rockies podcast. It's Brenden Vogt.
What's up, fellas? Thanks for having me on this pod. I'm excited to spread my wings and try talking about the Nuggets for a change.
Oh, I'm excited to have you. And then down below, you guys know him, the anchor of the group, D-Line Co.
Wow, that could mean a variety of things. I can't imagine it was complimentary. I think you mean anchor as in what a sailboat uses an anchor for.
Just dragging you along.
Just keep the show just going nowhere. Let's
just towing D-Line around. No, actually, I'm excited for today's show because yesterday, look, I had low expectations. I had very low expectations. Maybe like a FaceTime call, Jokic, like the camera, like right in his face or something, like something really, really lame.
And like a statement. Just a statement.
Maybe a statement that just, is at the bottom third of the TNT show where it's just like Jokic has won. He says thanks. But no, I thought it was very well done. We're going to talk about that right off the bat. We're going to talk even more about Jokic's comments. We talked to Jokic for what I believe to be the last time until September, the last time of the spring and summer seasons. We'll reconvene again in fall with Jokic. And he had some very interesting things to say. I thought very interesting things to say from Sombor, his hometown. We're going to talk about new trophies. We're going to talk about the Executive of the Year award. And then, of course, at the very end, we might play a little whoop that trick and talk about the playoffs and the 50-point beatdown that happened because nothing makes sense. But first, Harrison, I had low expectations. Tell me what you were thinking as you were watching this presentation that happened yesterday on the TNT broadcast.
I was thinking, like, how is this real life? How is this actually happening? Because I had low expectations too, but it was absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think it could have been more perfect. And Jokic in his environment at his home, riding up on a horse, surrounded by friends and family. I mean, that's him.
Yeah.
Like that's him at his core. And
that's a good way to put it.
Jokic he's a lot of things, but at the end of it all, he's real and he's himself and he's genuine and he's just like refreshingly organic. And that's what yesterday was when he rode up on that horse and he got the MVP surrounded by really like probably the only people he cares about. Like he's got a ridiculously small circle.
Impossible. I wasn't there.
Yeah. I think most of the people he actually cared about were there. And so just to see the raw emotion and the realness of that, it was perfect because that's just who he is.
I love that you're highlighting the authenticity of it because to me that's 100% what shined through. And credit to TNT. Good journalists they don't make up stories. They don't do that. They allow the story to be told, to be revealed. And I thought that's part of what this presentation was. I felt like more so than almost any other event, we got taken inside Jokic's private life just a little bit. Just
we were into his world for just a second.
And that's what I just loved about it, is it almost felt like this guerrilla style into Jokic's life for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Eric, what was your takeaway, or what was your thought?
Well, first off, shouts to you for referring to the TNT broadcast as good journalism. Good journalists.
I'm just saying they got lucky one time.
Wow.
I love the TNT show though. Don't even blast.
Oh, listen. I mean, but I'm not arguing that, but the term journalist. Anyway, yeah, man. Wow. Like when it first came on, I just didn't know what to anticipate. It came up like really quickly. Like I learned it was happening 15 minutes before it happened. And then you just watch it, and it's the tears, man. Like you just see Jokic feel what you assume equates to some amount of pride, and like allowing somebody who's so remarkable to see them enjoy the fruits of their labor, and like to see them in a moment of reflection where Nikola Jokic, I've said this over and over, I'll say it every day, is the most important person that's ever come into my life. Like he's just altered my life in so many like immeasurable and very impactful ways. And I love seeing him happy. Like I love seeing him touched. And, I love that he doesn't care at all about the circus show that is the NBA, that he dresses it down in a way that is so refreshing, as Harrison says, but also like it's appropriate. Like, what are we talking about? Like, he's the best basketball player. Like, what's with the pomp and circumstance? Like, let's get the award and let's see what Jokic is really all about. And then the other thing is that I learned in Serbian that when he arrived on his shores, somebody, potentially his father, was heard saying, "Why are you crying? Don't be a pussy." Which is another detail that just makes this so beautiful. I love it. I couldn't get enough.
Yeah, I love that. You're right. That part of it, by the way, real detail. Apparently in Serbian, somebody's on. You can be heard telling Jokic
to stop being a pussy.
Some friends were really excited to transcribe that one for us. Got a lot of DMs.
Vogt, your turn.
Yeah, I was going to say something similar to Eric. I think how much it meant to him is what stood out to me. And I think he said as much in his interview, not necessarily the award, but seeing that the Nuggets brass had made that trip, as Wind was saying, see a collection of so many of his biggest supporters, and not just friends, but people that have believed in him, that have put him in this situation, sort of all in one place. And then, of course, his actual literal family there as well. To see him get overwhelmed like that emotionally is not something we see a lot from him. And I do think it was about the whole thing, the people, the community, the moment. But after hearing him sort of sound so apathetic about this award all season long, cool to see some emotion in this moment, because this is a culmination, and it's not just about the hardware in his hands, right? It's about this Jokic journey. So it was really cool to see him almost break down like that. And in a way, given how unlikely any sort of real success was this year, I was kind of glad. We'd all like to see this team playing, but I was kind of glad that Jokic had a chance to take this award back home in his element, in his place. And I don't know, like it would have been cool to see them continue playing, of course, but Jokic has earned this. He's earned that moment in that place with those people. And it just all felt very, very appropriate.
Right. Like as opposed to just some weird meeting hall in a Best Western or whatever that was last
This one was as good as last year's was bad. You're right. I mean, that really is it. And it's funny because so much we thought, and maybe even at moments stressed over what would it be like getting the award, but you're not even in the playoffs anymore, and this or that. Turns out awesome. It was great. It's actually like so much better.
It's the only way to do it.
Yeah, I even think back to like Marcus Smart. That's the only other one of these awards that I remember from this year. I know we've had these different ones, but Marcus Smart got it at practice. Everybody kind of hugged it, and it was a cool moment. But like you compare that to freaking, we just got Jokic riding in on the trotter like that. This is the all-time. He had a helmet on for some reason. Like, first of all, what was this real? Like, was Jokic really? Was that really the moment that he was surprised? Like it was maybe a little staging, because I am 50-50 on this. Like, it was too perfect.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's because when you asked me my initial reaction, I was like, is this real life? Is this actually happening? Because it was too perfect. Like it was just so freaking perfect. But I've got to believe that it was mostly genuine, because I really feel like the only way they could have gotten that reaction and like gotten it to set up like that is if they just totally surprised him.
Right.
Which they definitely did. They just had to pull one over on him 100% to get him in that sort of like
Here's
situation.
what probably happened. He knew the MVP was coming, right? Like this wasn't, he was blown away. So he knew probably there was going to be something. And I'm guessing there was one of those like, hey, Nikola, around 1 p.m. today, we're going to need you to be out on the track for a while, like away from the stable for 1 hour while we set up all this equipment and stuff. So I'm sure he's like, all right, there's probably going to be something there. But when he gets there and sees Tim Conley and Michael Malone and Josh Kroenke, I think that was the part that was like, oh, wow, I just thought it was going to be like some reporter.
I love the idea. They're like, oh, we need this time to set up all of this staging and equipment. And then they grabbed the most rickety looking table that just in a weird,
it made it even more perfect.
I know, but I just like this idea. They're like, all right, we got to
find a table somewhere. Everybody got a table.
We're essentially presenting an off-screen Oscar. We need to make sure that the scene is appropriate for the magnitude of this award. They're like, what about this table here that we smoke cigarettes at, and this and this chair that it was just in Dreamcatcher's stable. He uses it to eat hay off of. But there we go.
That's what made it so charming, though. I'm telling you, they could have dolled up the town square building or gotten this elaborate offense or something. Like the fact that they're like, hey, Yoke likes horses, and the stable, first of all, looked awesome. Is there any person that's honest with themselves that didn't want to be inside that little barn, like with the little people at the accordion and stuff? Like you look at that and you're thinking, we've seen Club Live in Miami and like all these exotic places when a championship or something's awarded and it's all this like glamour, like, oh my, Kobe brought bottles of Dom, whatever, for everybody in the entire bar. Jokic is like, his cousin Earl is like serving shots of rakia and stuff. Man. You could tell there's probably shit right off camera.
Was that Ogie playing guitar too the whole time?
No way. Was it?
I thought I saw him in the pictures. I could be wrong.
There was some dude on an accordion. I know that.
Accordion, stand-up bass, guitar, and they had all the hits.
Dude, and also after seeing that, I'm now convinced that the question yesterday, like what will Jokic do with all of his money? I think he'll probably just bury most of it. Like I don't think he has any use for it.
Man, go ahead. No, you go.
I don't think there's any way it was staged. I don't think you could convince Jokic to stage anything. I just think he would say no.
Totally.
Yeah.
It was just for a brief moment. I feel like we were just transported into this world that we've heard about for so long, but we didn't know exactly what it looked like.
Yes.
And we finally got a glimpse of it.
Yes.
And it was awesome. It's like a world where you can totally see why he would just retreat to Sombor and not talk to anybody or go on social media, because it just looks awesome. Like, did you guys notice how there were only a couple people like filming what was happening on their phones? Nobody had their phones out except for like a couple people, like people that are from the Nuggets. And it was just like, it's just a totally different world than we're used to. It's just like, it's just awesome.
Yeah, I love that, man. Let's get into some of the other details here. I mean, so who was there is interesting. I mean, Michael Malone flying out there I thought was great. Tim Conley as well. The guy doesn't really surprise me a little bit because I think Tim Conley might have to fly back out there here in a couple weeks. First of all, a little tidbit I've heard, they were out there for 6 hours. That's what Jokic said this morning, right? That they flew all the way out there basically for the evening and then flew out, I'm sure, on Josh Kroenke's chartered plane, which is awesome. But that's who stood out to me. Josh Kroenke was in attendance. And I think this is meaningful for a couple reasons. One, like, why was Tim Conley and Michael Malone there? Because they want to show support of the guy who has made their life. You talk about impacting your life, Eric. I mean, talk about those two guys whose life's literally completely different because of Nikola Jokic. But Josh Kroenke is the guy, the owner, who's sort of above those things. Like, Josh Kroenke's life is made better by Nikola Jokic's presence, but his life is so far above reproach, that he – there's that. I thought it was very meaningful that he was out there, and not just out there. I've told people this a lot. In my experience, not that I know the guy, Josh Kroenke's a pretty normal-ish dude. Like, you meet a lot of very wealthy people or owners or successful people, and you're like, man, that's not a person. That's something. Josh Kroenke's a normal, but pretty normal dude from my experience. And he was out in a T-shirt that he clearly had made on Vistaprint or something, like that he had done this. To me, I thought that was the coolest part of all of this. It was like Josh Kroenke not just was there, but clearly was there because he wanted to be and felt the moment. Like he understood the moment. I thought that was such a cool thing.
It was cool. It's also cool that Josh Kroenke is like slowly turning into the Unabomber. It took me a little bit to figure out who, like, this beard he's cultivated is impressive to say the very least. It looks like a COVID beard that he's like kept for
COVID beard.
Dude, I didn't recognize him. And I'm like, but I love that he was there. I love that he was wearing Jokic shirts and
2 different ones. I love that he had multiple
great.
knockoff Jokic shirts.
Yeah, I want to know when the wardrobe changes took place. Like, snap a picture. Josh Kroenke's like, all right, I got to switch up the shirt. Now snap another.
I think the first one was a sweatshirt, and the second one he was just wearing underneath the sweatshirt.
Could be.
But little things like that, I mean, maybe this is really dumb. I'm sure the chat will let me know if it sounds dumb. Little things like that. When we were at Stiffs, Adam and Eric, you made Take That L on the way out. We saw Josh wearing that shirt at a press conference once. And there's just little things to me that make me think, well, I know as a whole, as a property by the Kroenkes, the Nuggets are neglected. We can say that. They're just the building hope that there is an increasing sense of pride around this org and the decision makers and the owners. Just little things like that. I'm like, hey, that's cool. Like he's caring, right? He's dipping his toes into the culture. It's more than just checking the numbers at the end of the year, you know.
Totally. It doesn't make up for. I mean, the big thing with Josh Kroenke, we're not going to overlook like the altitude, this or that. But I just want it. So I don't want people to think we're over here like completely negative. I just think from does this guy get it in this way? And it's like, yeah, he clearly does, man. Like he gets it on a he gets that in a way that's not too dissimilar from the people watching the show get it, of this like, hey man, we love this king of ours. He's so cool. And like, I'll wear a freaking whatever those lame shirts. I'd rather wear Eric's shirts. But
Josh Kroenke has reached out to me through another person, and I have hand delivered Josh Kroenke's assistant a whole bunch of shirts. Like he wanted that. He is very plugged into the culture. He loves seeing. I mean, I'm of course everything I'm saying is based off of his assistant's face for when I dropped it off.
His assistant told me he loved it.
But from what I can tell from the assistant's face is that he loves the culture.
I'm just so glad he was out there and a part of this. Go ahead, Harrison.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, flying to Serbia for 6 hours, it seems like a big deal, but it's probably not for a billionaire like Josh Kroenke. Like, oh, I got to gas up the jet and go to Serbia and come back in a day. Like, I can do that. Like, it's not a huge deal. But I think for him to show up there, that's going to mean a lot to Yoke going forward. And, like, I think by now we know Nikola Jokic is never going to play for another NBA team. I don't think we have to keep asking him about that. Like, that's settled. But just him being out there, Josh Kroenke being out there for that moment, I think that's going to go a long way with Nikola and just that connection.
Jokic is a family guy. Like, he's like all about family and the close. Like, this is why he doesn't care about anybody outside that tight circle. And when you're talking about celebrating in this tiny little barn bar that you saw the photos. In fact, Kelly, you can pull those up if you have them handy, but some of those like photos where they're just in this tiny little place drinking shots of rakia and gelling beers, or yelling, I guess it would be called, yelling beers. You know, like the fact that this billionaire was willing to go, not just willing, but by all accounts, eager to go out and participate in that, I thought was so cool. Look at these photos, man. Look at these. Tank top Jokic already in full effect. Look at Malone, the way he looks at him too.
Did you guys
look at this bar? I'm telling you, man, like
know.
This is my style. Would I rather be at Club Live in Miami with bottle service or wherever I am with this stand-up? Like, come on, man. Is this not the coolest bar in the entire universe? And there's only 8 people allowed in. Yeah. One of them happens to be the top human.
Yeah. No, it was incredible. It was perfect. Like I've said many times.
It is hilarious. I mean, the word rustic could be applied to many things.
Like this hat. Where did this hat come from? Whose hat is this?
Dude,
where did it come from?
What is
why is he wearing it? Like,
yeah,
what's going
on?
Is
that a selfie?
Yes, he's taking a selfie, or that's just how far away he has to hold his phone in order to read it. It's possible.
Accordion in the background. By the way, this is when I think of the Serbia trip. This is it in my head.
I can't wait for us to be at a barn.
Dude, if we're not taught and practice and scream every like Serbian drinking song that there is, and like some sort of like Serbian jig that we're supposed to do while like if that doesn't happen, I'm never coming back to Serbia. Like,
we have to learn the words to at least one Serbian song. I mean, look at the top human riding in here with his carriage, his trotter thing. Oh
my
God.
Favorite picture.
Like Cinderella.
I actually power ranked the best moments from that presentation.
Of course you did.
The best moment is when he's just doing the TNT video in front of just the Dreamcatcher stable backlit.
Oh,
like
you're right.
Dreamcatcher standing right over his shoulder, man. I mean, come on. Come on.
Like, was there a moment where Jokic just like, we can do this, but Dreamcatcher has
First of all, yeah.
Like in the shot, non-negotiable.
I also love that the horse just stood there the whole night, just looking straight ahead. That's if he was like a prop. It was just so perfect. We got to hit our first break, guys, or I'm going to get yelled at. So why don't
I don't want to. I just want to talk about this all day.
Well, we're going to talk about it again in segment 2.
Okay,
so
cool.
Not to worry. We'll be back talking more about this, including what Jokic had to say when he was interviewed.
If you haven't been able to watch Nuggets and Avs in Rapids games this season, check out Evoca TV. Evoca TV. Go to evoca.tv/DNVR. Evoca TV, they've got Altitude Sports. They've got AT&T Sportsnet for the Rockies this summer. They've also got other national channels as well, now available in Denver and Colorado Springs. Go to evoca.tv/DNVR. You can get Evoca TV for $10 off your first 3 months when you use the promo code DNVR. Comes out to only $15 a month. Your first 3 months, you get a free receiver as well. No contracts, no hidden fees. Again, just $15 a month for your first 3 months plus a receiver with that promo code DNVR at evoca.tv/DNVR. Get set up with these guys now so you're ready to go when Nuggets season tips off in the fall. evoca.tv/DNVR. Also at DraftKings Sportsbook this week, the NBA playoff action is nonstop. DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. This week, new customers can bet just $5 on any team to win. Get $150 in free bets if they do. If you're looking to turn a small bet into a big payday during the playoffs, check out DraftKings Same Game Parlays. You can do just that. Right now, all customers, this isn't just for new customers, all customers can place a same game parlay with 3 or more legs, get a free bet back up to $25 if one leg doesn't hit. So say you go 2 for 3 on your same game parlay, you lose, you're going to get a free bet back up to $25 just because that one leg didn't hit. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code DNVR. Bet $5 on any NBA team to win their game and get $150 in free bets if they do. That's promo code DNVR only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older. Colorado only. New customers only. Minimum $5 deposit. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700.
One other thing, Eric might disagree with this. So Felipe, the strength and conditioning coach, last year designed the MVP shirt that ended up going viral. That they hired somebody to print them and this or that and made some money off them. This year they made another one. It says, "Some people want to see you fail, disappoint them." First of all, it's just hilarious that they have this thing now where they make these shirts. Apparently this one will not be for sale. It's only for them, which is also like part of the charm. I mean, just think about this. Again, it's almost like Little League mom to be like, "Hey, we're all making parent T-shirts for the tournament. We're all going to wear them." And like,
yeah, it's like having like the Mares family reunion official T-shirt.
Yes, exactly. Only it's for the NBA MVP.
But it's so awesome because when forever you look at that shirt, you're going to be like, "Oh, I was at Dreamcatcher's stable when I wore this shirt. Like I was there. I was one of the few that were there."
Very, very much an exclusive. Some other highlights from it today are from yesterday's presentation. The first time we ever saw baby Ognena. It's our first time. Like, it's so funny, man, because I'm telling you, like, the Kardashians, the royal family, whatever, it's so dumb. I don't understand it, why people get into it. Then I see baby Ognena, and I'm like, oh, look at this. There she
I don't
is.
relate to this part.
You what?
I don't relate to that part.
Really? What about Eric Harrison? Was there any, like, feels when you saw baby Ognena for the first time?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I had seen her at games because she has been to a couple games. Like walking in with Jokic's wife wearing those huge headphones that babies wear. It's like so cute. But I've seen her at games, but never like up close like that. I saw her look into that crystal ball and like see her future almost.
I love that. I love Zarko has spelled it out for me as if the spelling was the ball.
Yeah, that's
only
not-
if I
well,
see it spelled, the
as-
pronunciation becomes much easier.
As the Serbians will tell you every single time, it is phonetic. So
Yeah, but
you
it's
can-
not 'cause a phonetic here. First of all, there's no way I can.
Adam,
get
it's
ENG.
phonetic.
Ognjena.
Right. I have a different alphabet. It's not phonetic to me.
It's
Yeah.
phonetic.
If it was phonetic, it would be Ognjena.
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 Ognjena. So it's not phonetic.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it's cool. Like, just it's the thing where Jokic is just such an unknown commodity in that he is just such a private person, and so any chance that you get to see the other side of this guy is just always, I don't know. It's like awesome, and you love to see how happy he is, and you love to see like that.
He was so happy.
Yeah, man. Like it's incredible. Like it's just. I mean, like seeing the baby herself, like, okay, it's a baby, but I just, man, you love that he is just so much bigger than this game that is so sullied and terrible, and he's just everything about him is just so pure and like worth rooting for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Vogt, apparently you say it right. How do you say it?
Well, now it's a lot of pressure. Ognjena?
Say it again.
Ognjena.
Ognjena?
Ognjena? Okay.
Ognjena.
Let's just all say it for like an hour.
I think I'm saying it right.
There's a chance he named her something that would be he's like, what's the hardest thing for Americans to pronounce? That way they just never say it.
You know what I think? One thing I appreciate about Jokic, I always get so concerned about the burnout. This is a guy who seems to have a remarkable perspective on a balanced life, a holistic approach.
Most underrated part of him. I actually think it affects his play, like him as a player, that he has such good perspective.
He's such a, like, when basketball is in front of him, that's what is in front of him. And then I think when his family is what's in front of him, that's what's in front of him, and so on and so forth with the horses and down the line. So I just think this is a guy who, it was interesting. He talked about his daughter today, and he said she helped him realize there's more to life than basketball, which I think is just something we would have said about him even before that, right? As someone who seems to have that perspective. So I think this is, when I talked about the culmination earlier and the emotion for him, I mean, Jokic is in just such a crazy place in his life right now where everything is really coming together. And he's managed to keep a pretty healthy perspective on what's important to him, what is just hard work, what needs to be endured, and so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I honestly think it's a big deal. Like he gets it, and it brings us to some of the commentary he had. And I'm telling you, we had so many, mostly Serbs, but sometimes we just get like regular NBA fans that'll say something like, "Denver's never going to win a championship for Jokic. He needs to leave, this or that." I mean, part of this is like, first, I get it. If all you care about is the championship aspect of this, not the pursuit of it, but just the championship aspect of it, like, I get it. Maybe you want to go to the Lakers or something like that, and you'll probably end up getting a championship or two. And maybe for you as a fan, that will make you feel more whole. It'll make you feel more like, oh, that makes me feel better now about watching Jokic. What I love about Jokic is, and even today he was asked in Serbian, if Denver does not put a good team around you, will you leave? And he said, my mind is not there. No, like I just want to compete. And it almost reminds me of Paul Millsap, what Paul Millsap said when he was asked about coming to Denver. And he's like, I have a story that I want to tell. And it's not the same story everybody wants, but it's my story. And that's how I want to have it. I feel like that's Jokic. It's like, I want to win a title. And I think we have a chance. We'll get to what he said about that part here in a bit. But it's like, I don't want a title. Like, I don't just want to be given that full stop. That's the only thing. It's like, I want to earn it. I want to go out and do that. And the challenge is doing that here in a place that has been so good to him, both the fan base and even the organization. I mean, we just talked about flying out to this tiny town for 6 hours to be with them, like clearly care about him. That's the story he wants. And that's the perspective. That's why years like now, you think, oh, is he going to be crushed by the narrative? Like, he doesn't care. It's like, that's your guys' narrative. It's not mine. I know how to judge myself on this stuff. And it's just so refreshing. But I do want to get to some of his quotes now. And again, he had that quote about, I want to be in Denver until they kick me out, which should rest everybody. Everybody should be rest assured that like Jokic really is, at least at this moment, and I think for every moment since he arrived here, he's not about that life of going around and chasing. He's in Denver. His roots go deep. He doesn't want to uproot himself and go anywhere else. I think that part has become extremely clear over the last 2 or 3 months with some of his quotes, including that one. But there was an even better quote, and that was when he was asked about changing team, if they don't build this or that. Or actually, this was on Altitude. I should say this on Altitude Radio, where he was asked about it. And he was asked, do you dream? You close your eyes and dream about a championship. And he says, I don't have to close my eyes. I know we have what it takes. And this is the first time, correct me if I'm wrong, this is the first time Jokic has kind of called his shot on this topic, saying, look, we can win a title. We're ready to win a title. Not like we hope to or this or that, but like we can do it. And I have the confidence that we will. Just watch. Harrison, what did you make of that comment? Let me pull it up too, by the way, because I feel like I'm butchering it a little.
Yeah, I mean, I think something about Jokic is like everything he says, he's not trying to, at least I don't think he's ever trying to set a narrative or set a tone or like send a message. I just don't. Maybe I'm wrong on this, but like everything he says, he just kind of tells it as it is. Like at the beginning of the season, he was asked, like, how do you think you guys are going to do this year without Jamal Murray? And he goes, I don't know. We might be good. We might be bad. We'll see. Yeah. He's just like, so it's like beyond being honest. And so I just think he was answering the question and being like, yeah, we have Jamal, we have me, we have Michael, we have a big team or a deep team. We've got experience, we got continuity. Yeah, like we can go win it. I just think that's his perspective on it.
Totally agree with Harrison. And I think I've heard him say that before, maybe not in as quotable fashion. Like that quote does make you want to run through a wall, to your point. But I think I've heard him say in sort of other ways, like he's always thought this group is good enough, that's the goal. And like where they're not good enough, it's not, well, let's go get this piece and that piece. It's like, let's get better at that together. But I do think it's cool to hear. We're hearing it right after Malone's comments, right? Mm-hmm. This is all what we want to hear right now. No more grace periods, no more next year, no more if and or, right? Let's get after it. But that doesn't surprise me. I think Jokic does feel that way about this group.
Yeah, like that's the thing about Jokic. Like he, in this time in the last 2 years when Jokic has really risen to prominence, won his 2 MVP awards, the Nuggets have not realistically been in a place where they could claim that it was time to win a championship. Had the brightest timeline continued on and we'd not lost MPJ and not lost Jamal, I think you would have heard a lot more like, okay, like it's time, it's go time. Like Jokic has to be realistic because he is, it's not that he hasn't been given a good team around him. It's just that, that they've been befallen by terrible circumstances that are outside of their control. And now it's like, okay, now that we're getting past this point and we should by all, accounts be out of purgatory, like it's go time. We're starting to hear that from everybody involved in this organization.
Right.
Like the recognition that's like, this was a gap year. It sucked. It was unavoidable. There's really nothing that could have happened with that amount of money sitting on the bench. There's simply no way to compete at the highest levels that we were previously, and we will be again when we have these guys. So I imagine you'll hear this a lot. I think the drum is going to start to be beat by a lot of different people because I personally feel it too. I feel a shift now. Like, okay, we sort of made it through the storm and now it's time to go. So I love it. I love hearing that.
Here's the quote, by the way, just to kind of exactly what it is. He was asked if he needs to shut his eyes, can you envision a Nuggets championship? And he says, I don't need to shut my eyes. I know it. And again, it's just such a forceful statement of like, I know it. He also spoke to the media today, talking about how, everybody surprised him. They were only there for 6 hours, caught me off guard, thought it was really special. But what I love about it is this is one of my favorite quotes from the day. He says, when you start playing basketball, he's asked about the MVP and dreaming about it. He says, when you start playing basketball, you want to win something as a group, as a team. All those individual awards come and go. People are picking who will win it. A championship is you winning it, is you taking it. I just love that one. Like where he's like, did I dream of the MVP? No, I only dream of winning. Like the MVP is just a thing that I didn't even think about. And I believe it. It's earnest. Like it is funny too about the idea of what players dream of being the MVP. I actually kind of side with this. It is weird to think about dreaming about an individual award.
Yeah.
When you're young, you're shooting baskets. You're like dreaming of the game winner in the title. You're not dreaming of like
dude, I hope Zach Lowe advocates for me in March.
You're like 3, 2, 1. That's right. He set the all-time record for shooting percentage in the NBA. His MVP case is airtight.
Yeah, so true. Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah. It is wild though that Yoke, he went the entire season just trying to win game after game after game, just doing what he felt like he needed to do to win as many games as possible. And then after 82 games was just the MVP. Yeah. Like all he wanted to do this season was just win games. Yeah. And that translated into him becoming the MVP. But that quote is awesome because I've never thought about that. It's like, yeah, the championship, you're actually winning. The MVP, like you can make your case and you can do what you can numbers wise and between the lines, but in the end, it's other people voting on it.
Right.
The championship, you can actually go out and win yourself.
You're not coming back from the title ceremony win to the studio inside the NBA, and people are going, I think Embiid should have won the title. Like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Done. You can think it's not about thinking. We went out there and we played, and I won.
Yeah. One of my other favorite parts of his speech this morning, he was asked about the trophy. Thinks it sucks.
I love that too. He's like, yeah, I like the other one better. The ball.
Because they gave him the ball, the crystal ball. Not a fan. He likes the original. What did you call it?
I agree. It does suck. It does suck.
It's terrible.
The real one is cool. The ball is kind of meh. That's how he said it.
He's getting both, though, right? The ball is the 75th anniversary. I don't care. What am I doing? Who cares?
I freaking love it. The NBA made a special thing to commemorate the 75 years of it. And it went to the one guy that has, like, it's completely lost.
He's like, oh, the 75. It's been that long? You guys have that many?
Wait a minute. We forgot to bring up Trophy Design Corner, the graphic, before we got into this.
Yeah, have you guys actually ever looked at the MVP trophy really closely?
The gentleman that is dribbling the basketball and is like kind of rough looking.
It's actually a really like poorly made trophy. I just gotta say, I'm looking at it closely
it's iconic.
for the first time.
Yeah, I was watching Jokic intently when he was palming and handling that glass orb because it is so awkward. There's like not a great way to hang on to it, and like mercifully he has giant hands and is able to manipulate a sphere-like object with no issues, but like still he was being like a little bit like cavalier with it, and I was like,
come on, it's Yoke. He could put
no, I know. Well, I mean, obviously he was just like, he didn't quite know what to do with it. Yeah, it's terrible. It's a stupid award. I'm glad to know that it is not fully replacing that other one. I thought it was fully replacing that other one. So I feel great knowing this information.
Do you guys know what the name of the MVP trophy actually is? Not the Kia MVP, but like the NBA figure it's named after.
Is it the Bill Russell Award?
No.
Is it the Jerry Sloan Award or some nonsense? Who is it?
This says it's the Maurice Podoloff Award.
Oh,
right. Wow. I'm not a fan of this. We're going to get in. Actually, let's take a break. On the other side, we're going to get into. There's actually the NBA loves the MVP conversation so much this year that they created 2 more MVPs. You thought one was bad. We got 2 more MVPs coming up every single year. We'll talk about on the other side.
Guys, the American Raptors, they play at Infinity Park in Glendale, Colorado. Make sure to download the DNVR Rugby podcast with Colton Strickler. Subscribe to that on iTunes, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts from. That's going to keep you locked into all the rugby news going on around Colorado and throughout the country. But if you want to make it out to a rugby game, check out the American Raptors at Infinity Park. They've got a team full of athletes who are coming from backgrounds in football, basketball, baseball, wrestling, soccer, and track and field. Now they're on a rugby team together. All these former professional athletes. They play at Infinity Park in Glendale. You can go to AmericanRaptors.com and grab a free ticket there for the upcoming season. If you can't make the game, AmericanRaptors.com streams all of their games from their website. So make sure to check that out. Again, AmericanRaptors.com to grab your free tickets and subscribe to the DNVR Rugby Podcast, wherever you get your podcast from. And we're back.
And we are back. All right, segment 3, we're going to have a little fun.
Finally,
God, so sick of talking about Jokic. Real quick, we're going to get a couple little news and notes items out of the way. Monty Williams was announced as Coach of the Year. Eric, you're very happy with this.
It would be I would feel as outraged as the Embiid people do if Monty Williams did not get Coach of the Year either of these last 2 years, where he has brought the Suns to the top team in the NBA 2 years running. And if there's no acknowledgement of that, it would be absurd. Absolutely absurd.
The one thing I'll say is if there was one person to me that deserves an award out of Phoenix, it would be James Jones.
James Jones,
the executive, he built that team.
But you still have to coach the team. I mean, he has gotten them working with such efficiency. I mean, he's a great coach. Not only that,
what I'm debating is you would be so furious, and I'm just saying, I don't know. To me, if I was ranking this, James Jones done the best job, Monty Williams second best job, Chris Paul, Devin Booker the next best job in terms of both of them are MVP candidates. But to me, if it was James Jones got the award but not Monty, to me that would also make sense. I'd be like, okay, cool. They acknowledged a part of this team.
I guess so, but I mean, how could you possibly know that? Like the impact that one has over the other. Even bringing the pieces together, maybe they wouldn't work unless it was the right scenario. I'm just saying, to me, that is a justice served. That guy. As much as I don't love the Phoenix Suns, but I like when justice is done and the right guy gets the award. I think that's
you are a big justice guy.
I am. I'm a huge justice guy.
I don't really want to spend too much time on this topic, so we're moving on. Eric's the only one with a take. Instead, I'll throw it to Vogt because Zach Kleiman won the Executive of the Year award. Vogt, what are your thoughts on Zach Kleiman?
Yeah, this was the one I was itching to talk about, and I think we're all glad he won this award because one thing that's really easy to see from the outside is the influence that he had. Every time I watch that team play, I'm just thinking, fucking Zach, unreal.
I love it that he's going to dance around what team it is.
So yeah, who cares? Win to you.
What do you think was his best move, Vogt?
I like the way that the team plays without Ja Morant.
You know what's hilarious about Zach Kleiman of the Memphis Grizzlies winning this award? I think the Memphis Grizzlies are the exact same team last year that they are this year. They have the exact same roster outside of one trade, which was a bad trade. Steven Adams for Jonas Valanciunas.
It was a good trade. Get out of
Let's
here.
argue.
It felt bad at the time, but it worked out very, very swimmingly. Look, he did a good job. I'm not going to lie and say that that wasn't a name that was front and center. I mean, the job he had done is front and center, but it's sometimes funny when a guy whose name is just not spoken often is all of a sudden the winner. And you're oh, Zach Kleiman. Now we all know Zach Kleiman better. So there you go.
But it's for one of the people's big things with these awards is you don't know what the criteria is. For Executive of the Year, there's absolutely no criteria.
That's because it's really just the moves that were made that summer when oftentimes it doesn't matter.
But that's what I'm saying. He didn't make any moves. They made one. They made one trade. They have the exact same team pretty much as they did last year.
They drafted Zaire Williamson, right? Or Zion Williams. How did I screw that up? But he ends up starting for them for half the year. you could make it, and it was a weird pick. It was one of those picks that was like, man, I don't know this out of left field, and then it ends up working. So he made I agree with you in spirit though. He made a couple moves that were like B+ moves, but they were on top of some A+ moves. And so you just combine it all together and be like, that was a great one.
These two awards, the Coach of the Year and the Executive of the Year, really should work out a lot like it does in the Oscars with Director of the Year and Best Picture. Like, it should be that the Coach of the Year and Executive of the Year are awarded to the same team that made the biggest leap and were able to get, like, appreciably better over this season. Yeah. But it does feel like it's just acknowledging the Suns and the Memphis Grizzlies.
They didn't have MVPs, but they were really good.
It's going to be like if Tim Conley wins it next year because they end up adding like a backup small forward, and it's going to be really like, Tim Conley. And you're like, well, 8 years ago he drafted Jokic. And now that tree has fully bloomed, and then now we see it.
Well, Andy Jamal and Jamal and Michael Porter Jr. came back. They're like, man, the Nuggets just got so much better this offseason with the number 24 pick. Dude.
Formidable squad.
So funny. All right, let's keep it moving. I want to go into the playoffs real quickly. Speaking of the Memphis Grizzlies, guys, last night the Grizzlies won by 50 points. It was an absolute curb stomping of a game that they put a beat down that they put on the Golden State Warriors. The Warriors looked unprepared. First of all, it should be noted, Steve Kerr got COVID in the protocols, unavailable for the team. Kind of a big deal, man. Like, look, we saw what happened when Michael Malone got COVID and Popeye Jones had to take over. Now, Mike Brown, he's an experienced head coach, so this is a little bit different. But nonetheless, like, I don't think we should be discounting that the Warriors have had to do a series basically without their head coach. That's tough. But Ja Morant, most improved player, really good. During the regular season, they won so many games without him. Their record without him was ridiculous. You get into the playoffs, you think, okay, well, that's not going to happen again. What? It happened again. First of all, Dillon Brooks sabotaged Game 4, and they almost won it anyway, even with Dillon Brooks playing as terribly as he would. Somehow you don't have Ja, and you have Dillon Brooks being the worst player of all time, and you still almost win. And then you get into the next game, and you win by 50? I'm sorry. I have been this way from the start. Ja Morant's a bad defender, and he kind of has the Luka thing where he eats up a lot of possessions, even though he is great. Sometimes there is something to, if you do this 30 times in 1 year, including the playoffs where you're better without a guy or you keep winning without a guy, there's something to it. I'm not saying it's bad for Ja Morant. He's a bad player. I'm just saying there is something to this. It's no longer, to me, coincidental.
For sure. I mean, absolutely. The only thing is that they're also really good with him. So it's sort of like,
I know, it's what's crazy.
Like, so it's you don't know. So I mean, I guess they trade him. What do they do? They get picks.
I'm not advocating for something that's crazy. I'm just making note of this very weird thing that would not happen with almost any other player as ranked as highly as him.
Yeah, it is remarkable. Here's what I will say about this series in general, though. Like, the Warriors are going to win next game by 25 points.
Maybe.
Yeah, that's right.
You also predicted they were going to win when they were down 20 at the half.
I believe that. But they were just so deeply unserious. Harrison and I were talking about this.
Here's where I know you have one eyeball on this, though. They're already down Gary Payton. Now they're down Andre Iguodala and maybe down Otto Porter. This is a team that didn't have depth to begin with. And now you take out 3 rotation pieces. They started the second half with Bielitsa. Good player. Hadn't played yet in the series. They put him in to start.
But who were those players on the Warriors squad that ran roughshod through the league and like those level of players that were on the bench? There's a bunch of guys that were like very important at that time, but they're like just other guys. The emergence of Poole alone is the one that it tells me that if those guys can all get clicking, like nothing will matter. That team was so they didn't care. They were like, all right, whatever. Like they're dancing with the crowd.
They've lost all 3 of their good dirty work guys, other than Kevon Looney. He's the only other guy who's like not a great player, but he's a good dirty work guy, so that Jordan Poole gets to run around and do stuff.
And surprisingly, Wiggins as well.
Well, and Jordan Poole either looks like Steph Curry or looks like a scrub. Like there's no in between.
You're like, did you just learn how to walk yesterday? He's like falling over.
Yeah, I'll say this about Memphis though. Them not being with Ja, I didn't think it would carry over to the playoffs just because it's the playoffs, and it's just like totally different than regular season when you can just beat up on bad teams and just use your depth to get wins. But the fact that they did win all those games without Ja, that means that when they all of a sudden don't have him in the playoffs, they're still going to have a ton of confidence. Like they absolutely think they can win without him in the playoffs because they won in the regular season. Doesn't matter who they played against, doesn't matter the quality of opponent, but just having that belief that you can win without him because you've done it in the past, that's kind of a lot of what we're seeing now.
Is there a threshold crossed where he would never admit it, but just silently in the back of his head, Ja Morant's like, huh? Or is he just like, this is awesome, my squad's dope.
Yeah,
like I'm that much more confident in that.
He's young enough that
that one. Yeah,
he's young enough that he gets to be that one. But if like 2 years from now, like that, it could end up becoming a thing. I mean, it almost is Westbrook-esque, where you're like, man, he puts up these crazy numbers, but somehow they're not as good when he's on the court. So it could end up evolving into that. I'm telling you, this is the thing, and we missed it with Yoke because he just was never embraced. We went straight from the like nobody paying attention to he's overrated. It's the thing with Ja. Everybody loves Ja for good reason. He's great personality. A year or two from now, those things will matter more because people they'll just be a little tired of the same story. It's just the way that the life cycle of it. The other game, of course, being Milwaukee beating the Celtics in a come.
Oh my God.
Win. This is why I have to bring this up. People get mad at me. I'm going to lose. We just did this whole Serbia's tuning in. We got 300 live viewers in Serbia. I am hesitant to give Jokic best player in the world title. I want, when I speak about Jokic, I want everyone to know I'm not just being the homer. Like we just have everybody from different cities. I think Jokic's the rightful MVP this year and last year. No, to me, it's like pretty definitive. But best player, I still give it to Giannis because he's the reigning champion who did it on the biggest level. If you just look at these two teams and say you're down Middleton, they're peaking, the Boston Celtics are peaking, doesn't matter. Giannis still finds a way to get it done. I have to tip my hat to this guy, and I hope we all appreciate it because when Jokic is in that spot, I hope everybody appreciates it. But what Giannis is doing there, like to me, I thought this was a 5-game Celtics win. You lose Middleton, last year, Middleton got all the credit for why the Bucks got over the hump. They started playing through him in the clutch. Guess what? Clutch time last game, they don't have Middleton. They come from behind to win the game. No. I give Milwaukee a lot of credit, and I give Giannis an enormous amount of credit, man.
The difference,
he's 1 game away from the Eastern Conference Finals, despite not having Middleton. It's very impressive.
Yeah, but he relied like Drew Holiday had the 2 biggest plays of that comeback. Giannis, well, I mean, that's not sure. Like, that would have to be Jokic that completed both of those if it were for the Denver Nuggets. It was like, there's no one, it wasn't like, oh man, hopefully Bones Highland will step up, knock down an absolute nails 3, and then
he had
block
41
the winning
points too. Like,
no, I know that, but so like, to me, like that, just arguing, you know, the impact that both can have and who is the best player in the world. Like, you know, it's buoyed a little bit by the surrounding cast, like helps Giannis be as great as he is. And I don't think that he can do what Jokic can do, like if left alone. Giannis, like if left unto his own devices, he has no one else at all to rely upon. Like Jokic had people that would step up from time to time, but there was not one guy that you're like, okay, hopefully Aaron Gordon shows up. Hopefully whatever.
To me, this is a little bit, though, Eric, like if you went to the bubble, you're like, well, Murray saved him in the bubble. And it's like, no, it wasn't true. Murray was awesome. Jokic was also awesome. Like, they both get credit for it.
Well, right, but that's
the same way. Like, Giannis had 41 points last night.
Sure.
Yes, Drew Holiday made some big-time plays. That's part of – to win a championship, you have to have good teammates. He has 1 fewer than he should have. But
yes, but you're saying, like, the fact that they won that game is an argument for how – dominant and why he should be considered the best player in the world. But I am arguing that he didn't get that done. Like Drew Holiday got that done.
Next year when Jokic is doing this and Jamal Murray hits a big 3 or Michael Porter hits a big 3, I just want everyone to give Jokic the mantle. Yes. And right now the fact that Giannis is in that position, I let him maintain the mantle because he is the reigning champion and because he is still getting it done. Yes, it's different. He has different circumstances, but I'm just telling you, I'm setting the table for next year when Jokic does this. I want everybody to understand.
Yes.
He's got it now.
Giannis is approaching that LeBron level, though, where the goalposts keep moving. Like, I did not think Giannis had a good 4th quarter, to the point Eric was making. Like, both teams were throwing that game away in the final 8 minutes, in my opinion. But
Oh, it was beautiful on the Celtics end, though, man.
Oh my God,
I'm telling you, like the cool thing about this, you're glazing over it. And I can't believe you are. Maybe you're so shook that you don't want to do this. This was a Drew Hanlon special. This was a close game, just what you need. 3 sidestep followays. Like, no, you don't.
Not just that. 19 seconds off on the shot clock. Where did I miss? Was I short? Front rim? Oh, it's a fast break? That's incredible. Yeah, I was cackling to myself at that Tatum shot selection. But I will say this about Giannis. For a little bit in the fourth, and I was joking, but I put it in the Slack. I'm like, no bag Twitter scratching at the coffin right now. Then you check the box score. Ah, shit, he's got 39 and 10. Giannis is at this level where I often see what he can't do because I'm expecting him to be perfect. I think Jokic is kind of nearing that as well. But Giannis on this national scale of, you're always like, man, he really should get a move or two. Oh, he's been the best player on the floor in the best playoff series in the.
And he also makes winning plays. To your point, you're right that there is the made the shot or did the dunk or whatever, made the block. Those are big plays. But there's also just the winning plays, man. And Giannis, even when he has bad games, makes winning plays. Jokic, even when he has bad plays, makes winning plays. Those are the two. And Steph Curry would maybe be the only other guy. Draymond Green, Steph Curry is a duo.
His floor for a bad game is lower.
They always do the things that you can control. And the shots or this or that you can't always control. And they're spectacular at it. And I just have to give Giannis credit for that. Just the way I view basketball and the way I analyze it. Last thing. The NBA has updated. They're adding trophies, guys. They have updated.
Finally, a fucking worthwhile conversation. Let's go.
It was so ridiculous. We now have an MVP for the Eastern Conference Finals and the Western Conference Finals. The Western Conference Finals trophy, here they are, will be known as the Magic Johnson Trophy or award, and the Eastern Conference will be known as the Larry Bird Award.
Meanwhile, Michael Jordan is
design corner.
What the fuck, dude?
I need to get other vantage points of this. I'm so confused by what that gold thing that is like the tentacle that's going up the backside of those balls. I cannot figure out what it is. I don't know. I don't know what it is. It looks like.
I've got to think that's just a bad angle or something.
I think it's a reflection.
Oh, it's the other trophy reflecting.
It is. Yep.
Oh, thank you for helping me break that down. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I'm like, I thought they were glass, and we were seeing through, and there's some sort of golden tendril coming down. Okay, It's the reflection of the other trophy. I wish that those two had some sort of visual distinction from one another.
Really?
They look like two identical trophies. I think
they are. One says the Larry.
I would
prefer
if
they had Magic Johnson, Larry Bird's face.
Yeah, or the ball instead of the ball is that person's head. It's just on top of the. That would be dope.
I wish we just called these. I get the whole I want to nod to our history or whatever, but hockey has this where I'm always talking to the hockey guys and I'm like, well, tell me how good is Cale Makar? And they're like, well, third Conn Smythe, fourth Petrie, and I'm
when
like,
when
what does that Norris?
Like, well, he's a president's runner-up, and I'm like, okay, so he had the most points,
yes, in hockey, Conn
Eastern
Smythe.
Conference Finals MVP is I don't have to explain that to anyone. It's like, oh yeah, Jokic.
Yeah, we're gonna be like, oh man, is he gonna win the Magic Johnson?
Is he gonna win the Bob Cousy?
yeah. I know.
By the way, the Eastern Conference champion is the Bob Cousy, and the Western Conference champion is now the Oscar Robertson. There you go.
That one's a little silly.
Oh, look, they are different though, Eric.
These are different. One is on a plate of golden spaghetti, and the other one is on a kicking tee. So perfect.
It's
Same thing.
Oh wow.
That's okay. They have a theme, and they're
Does that do
carrying
anything
it out.
for you?
Wow. Yes, I don't know. Yes, it does.
No, it doesn't for me. I'm like, you know what? They are unique. No. I dig the idea of having a conference finals MVP and a finals MVP. I dig it. I think it's cool. I think it's a cool thing. It rewards sort of winning. I don't know that we'll have tons of debates over this. Generally speaking, in a playoff series, we have the only time I can ever think about there being controversy for who should be the finals MVP was both of Steph Curry's controversial ones where it's like, well, I don't know. In my opinion, he should have won them. Andre Iguodala is the craziest winner I could possibly think of. It's
hilarious. That's a LeBron James legacy award right there.
You just give it to LeBron at that point, right?
Dude, and it's going to be great too when next season we're like, listen, Jokic won the Magic Johnson. He won the two-time MVP. You can't tell me this guy's not worthy.
Who has more Larry Bird trophies, Jokic or Larry Bird?
Yeah,
That's right. That's right. Well, hopefully Jokic never has a Larry Bird trophy.
Will Embiid ever win a Bob Cousy? Even one time?
I don't even know. I don't want him to ever have a Bob Cousy because that means it will not have happened in Denver. That is an Eastern Conference award. I think it's really cool, man. Harrison, you're into it, aren't you?
Kind of. I feel like the one thing we do need is an all playoff team, right?
Here's the hard part of that. Does you have to go into the deep? Like, Jokic made the all playoff team. He only played 5 playoff games.
I don't know, but I kind of want to debate it.
Which also begs the question: who gives a shit? You know, like when you really start to,
I know. Yeah.
Does anyone feel like there's a chance that this is a participation trophy for a certain player, and that will be laced in irony when that certain player doesn't reach this certain round anyway?
Who are we talking about here?
Just throwing an idea out there. I'll let everyone come to their own conclusion.
Tatum? Like, is this Tatum?
No, I think he's talking about
you're
Joel
saying like
Embiid.
Joel Embiid is going to finish his career with
7
Larry
Birds,
but 0 MVPs.
No, I'm saying he's got to make it to the conference finals.
That next year they add the second round, the Eastern Conference semifinal MVP.
That's right.
I
We're calling it the Joel Embiid.
The rights to Ricky Sanchez participation trophy.
Oh my god!
Yok's already got one.
My one thought for the award we don't have that we need is just the Nikola Jokic award, and it just goes to the best human. You just vote on who the best human is every single year,
Do they have
and
to be,
that
do they have
guy
to play-
wins the Nikola Jokic award, and it's just a picture. It's just a trophy of a horse.
Does it have to be an NBA player at that point, or Nikola Jokic transcends?
No, it
basketball?
it could really just be anybody in the greater
Absolutely.
NBA world.
Boutros Ghali wins,
Yeah, wins the
Like
Nikola
it could
Jokic.
honestly go to you, D-Line. It could go to you. You're in the greater NBA world.
No way Eric's winning the Jokic award. Come on. Are you
Oh my god! I want the Jokic. Fuck
No,
yeah,
I'm,
dude.
no,
on the
I'm saying you.
human
I'm
scale.
saying you could be in the conversation.
He's in the conversation.
Would you guys fight on my behalf when they were like, D-Line does not deserve the Nikola Jokic Top Human Award? Would you come to my defense as I have to our King's defense?
So here's one thing,
No,
and
you
I'm
wouldn't.
going to
Okay.
talk about this. By the way, guys, here in 2 hours, a little less than 2 hours, I'm going to be hosting the Denver Sports Podcast, which is a weekly podcast we do here at DNVR. We bring different people from different beats to discuss things. We're going to talk about the best MVP winners and MVP seasons in Colorado sports history. Very excited. It was fun researching this one and getting the notes and stuff ready for it. So we're going to be doing that at 4:15. You're not going to want to miss it. But one thing I came up on, and Eric, maybe you can help me with this. Maybe you can't. In the NHL, they have, again, whatever they call it. Is it the Hart? What do they call it?
The MVP is known as the Hart Trophy. The MVP of the playoffs is called the Conn Smythe.
The Conn Smythe. So this is what I like. You can win both from the media vote, and then you could win another one that's from the player vote, and it's 2 different awards. Now I hate that they have different names like that, so you have to know Conn Smythe versus Hart, and it means nothing.
Yeah. It's called, Adam. It's called gatekeeping. What don't you understand about this?
It is gatekeeping. But here's what I'm saying: all these people are like, all these ex-players are like, we need to come up with our own. I don't want them to replace the current NBA MVP, but look, man, I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind if the players voted on a secondary.
MVP,
like you know what I mean?
The second
Brown
annual.
They used to.
The
real
second annual
Snow award.
Yeah, the second annual Shaquille O'Neal Dumbfuck Award, and then
It would be hilarious to go back in time too. It'd be like, wow, Stephon Marbury really won 3.
Well, I think they did this at one point.
Yeah,
They did this
Really?
like years ago, and I think the only, maybe they did it twice, but the only year I remember them doing it is when Westbrook won the MVP, and the players picked Harden.
Yeah, yeah, and they're like, and this year the winner of that boy got the dog in him award is John Morant.
Yeah.
It would be incredible.
This year, the guy who isn't in the league but should be in the league goes to Jamal
Carmelo Anthony
Crawford.
again.
Carmelo's like, I'm in the league still.
Oh, that'd be so funny. All right, that does it today, guys. Tomorrow, we're back to talk about the MVP award.
Yeah, finally.
We got a super chat.
Oh, we do have a super chat to get to. Thank you, Kale. Super producer Kale. Wait, don't get us out. You know what's funny, Kale, is you literally control the show. Like
yeah, we could be like, well, it's over, and we're just stuck here.
Let's check it out. It is from Clarence Molina. He says, "Ooh, $20." The homie right here. He says the owner, GM, coach, trainers went to his homeland. Don't forget PR. Not a hotel or restaurant. His home to celebrate his MVP. Shows that Nuggets org is a family. Let's get some Deaf Wing help for him. We pay in the tax anyway. Time to go all in. Hell yeah, Clarence. 100%, 1,000% agree with you. And like we said at the top of the show here, that it really is meaningful that they went out in the way that they did. And to be honest with you, I kind of liked that it was only like 6 guys.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it was a representative of all of the pillars of the Nuggets organization. Ownership, management, coaching, PR, training staff.
The one thing I will say that I'm a little dismayed about is that I'm sure you've seen the hulking, enormous banner that is hanging in Belgrade, Serbia, congratulating Nikola Jokic for his historic back-to-back MVP victory. And I have not seen nary a sign, a poster, a leaflet, a handout in the city of Denver.
Let's get that going.
Yeah, like once the jet lands, let's maybe make a call to the marketing team for the Denver Nuggets. Please wake up, marketing team for the Denver Nuggets.
Right,
market this man. Market this team.
Vacation, man.
Oh my God! You have a great natural resource with that you can work with, and it is such an easy story to tell, and it needs to be told. I don't know what you're doing. Please listen to me yelling at you and figure it out. Figure it out.
Such great stuff. Tomorrow we're back with Miroslav, who's going to better prepare us for our trip. Oh, by the way, I meant to say, Jokic said like how much these guys, I know how hard it is to get here, and just seeing that they would come this far, it means so much to me. I wonder if he'll say the same thing.
He might have a different tune about our effort.
I hope not. Please love us when we go. Don't even love us. Just don't hate us.
Just let us be there.
Just don't hate us. Don't even have to be there. Just don't kick us out.
Yeah,
right,
like don't send the cops.
Miroslav with us tomorrow for Serbian Corner. We'll see you then.
Let's go.